Morning. We've got a little bit of a turnaround happening, seemingly. I don't want to speak too soon, but at least crypto is feeling a little bit of recovery. What's up, Blake? XRP's getting some love, back over $2.20. Very good. Let me go full screen Bitcoin. Let's start on like the weekly time frame. I mean, does that look like a sign of strength to you? I think that's a pretty good candle. That's the weekly chart. We've got a beautiful looking bullish candle there. It's actually a Marubozu at the moment, if you know what that is. A Marubozu candle is a candle that has no wick to the downside or the upside. It's just all solid body. Like the whole thing's just a body. Like this was a bearish Marubozu. So if we get a green one, that'd be fantastic. It'd be cool to see this weekly get up over the open of this down week that we had. I think if we can do that, that'd be fantastic. But technically, let's talk technicals. Jump out to the daily, and you can see that we've regained market structure to the upside finally. We've broken the curse of the downtrend. Now, for those interested, the downtrend was this. I'm just going to pick out some key moments, but from the all-time high, we had a low here. We had somewhat of a bounce, but it was a lower high. We had structure broken to the downside, getting a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, equal or lower low. That is technically a lower low. It's probably more like a swing fail. But now you can see the rhythm has changed and we've actually broken past the previous high, which is flipping the switch. Basically, we've double bottomed. We've done a big fat W and getting above. It's racing right now, actually. It's well above 90,000. From my last stream, I was talking about 90,000 being like the final key to flip the switch back on, basically. So yeah, we really need to close this daily candle, which is another 2 hours and 10 minutes. We need to close it nice and strong. It's one thing to wick up through it, but to close up here would be fantastic. We really need that. But yeah, I mean, that's not a small feat. Getting out of here like this, on the volume that we're getting out of here on, let me just check the volume too. Yes, see, look at that spike in volume. Huge spike there. If we get some days similar to the height of these volumes, then we're in business, I think. You know, maybe the coming daily candle, which 2 hours and 9 minutes away. Once we get that new daily candle, I think that could be the one that really turns into something that looks like that. You know, where you just keep building upon, treating them as building blocks, you know. But yeah, we're not out of the woods yet. We still have to see, you know, these closes, these candle closes and repeated. We need the trend to be kept alive. But Bitcoin up 6% on today's candle is fantastic. Doge is up 11% right now. XRP 6.5%. Yeah, another look. There's a common thread going along here. If I zoom out, a lot of coins had this falling wedge building over the past, I don't know. I guess it's been a week or so, but they had this. You had the breakout, and then you had the retest of the bounce off the flipper, like that. And here we are, traveling upward. Same with Bitcoin on a much broader scale. Like, this is quite a macro falling wedge that Bitcoin's found itself in. But we all know what crypto can be like. So we just have to be quietly optimistic, I suppose. Like, don't assume that everything's going to the moon tomorrow, kind of thing. Just look at last year. Like, there were moments where we had optimism, like this. Like, this was optimistic to finally get out of this falling wedge that we were in. But that was only to be double topped. Or it met the resistance at the top of the range and then, came back down. So there's still lots of work to be done. But this is a great start. Like, that's a kind of a big deal. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I posted on my Discord announcements page. Let me show you what that was. This was on the 21st, so 2 days ago. I posted that. This is kind of a big deal. Bitcoin has broken out of a falling wedge, which has been driving Bitcoin down since Trump's inauguration, the all-time high. A bounce off the flipper, if you will. So, coming out of that falling wedge. I'm gonna check out the oscillators now. Let me check through. I'm gonna hide some of these lines as well. We'll keep the 10K levels on there. But let's get the wave off the oscillators. So, weekly, you can see that since the all-time high, the MACD on the weekly has been cooling right off. Not quite, not dipping down below the histogram, so it's still, it's a close call, but we could really get a cross up here, in the coming couple of weeks. We could really cross up and then send it, and get that final wave that we're looking for. A similar thing happened last bull market. We had a very strong initial wave, and then we actually dipped into the histogram, the MACD line, but we managed to get a MACD cross back up right where it mattered, like right here, and that sent us on that final leg, to our all-time high at the time of 69,000. So it could happen similar again, where we get a big divergence, we get this strong MACD wave, but then we cross up and do one final push, which causes a smaller wave on the MACD, but a higher push in price, which could take us to 120 conservatively. It could take us to 250. I don't know where the top's going to be, but I would like to see it go beyond 150. But if it's 120, then it's 120. We just have to live with it. But this is this is fantastic. This is great. We'll be watching it keenly. Check out also the stochastic RSI. You've just had the stochastic lines cross back up into the signaling bar, the area, the zone. So historically, what has that meant in the past? So here, I'm just getting the real clean, obvious ones here, and definitely there, and here. So look, stochastic cross back up into the bar. You had this moment. Here, you had this moment. Here, you had 2 weeks of upside, though this was the bear market, so it didn't really live that long. You can see it only spiked up and then came straight back down. Anyway, right here, so a little bit of a rally which was suppressed. Remember, price was being suppressed in this region. You know, lots of sell walls, lots of resistance. Here's another big one here. But yeah, you can see them. The weekly chart doing this does not lie. Like, they don't tend to. There's not many examples of them manipulating the stochastic RSI to do this dip and then cross up, and then it not follow through with a rally. Like, unless it's a bear market, which it isn't a bear market, not yet anyway. That will come. Like, that is the next major phase to come after this. You know, what is this? Has been this bull market. You know, the bear is next. But, well, to be expected. Like, that's what we expect. I mean, an extended bull market would be fantastic. Would be pretty cool. It would be fantastic. But yeah, look. I mean, every time I've circled the stochastic coming back up into the bar here, you get this beautiful rally. So I don't think that's any different this time. It's like every time it does it, you know, every time it dips down is when you should start paying attention to long opportunities, basically. I'll get rid of all these squiggles. What else we got? Just the standard RSI. In a bull market, RSI tends to stay somewhat, you know, at least around the average on the lows. Well, these lines aren't staying on top, but anyway, see the median line of the RSI there. Price pulls back just through it, but it never goes totally oversold on the weekly in a bull market. In a bear market, however, you get moments like that, which, you know, very good buying opportunity. Like, if you can get the standard, just the regular RSI to go oversold on the weekly, that means it is truly oversold. Like, that is the buying season. You should be buying all through that region. Mark my words. Like, the next time it happens on the weekly, like the next time we get dipping to oversold on RSI for Bitcoin on the weekly chart, that is like a big warning sign. Like, this is the bear market. Like, we're in the depths of it. You should be accumulating, you know, with the smart money. Let me go logarithmic. See, we only got one little, you know, dipped our toe into the pond right here. Let me close these and I'll make it bigger. I'll close these, stochastic and MACD, just so we can go bigger with the RSI. But check it out. We've only dipped over, like, since 2017, we've only dipped to oversold twice on the weekly. And that was the bear market floor of 2018. And then the FTX crash, like, bear market. But the dip through on the RSI happened back in like June, July of 2022. So people that started buying after that, they weren't incorrect. You know, because that was gonna be, I would say, like the floor of the market, just like, you know, the floor of the market back here was over there. But then we had that FTX Black Swan event, which caused that final thrust downward to get us down to 15,600, was it? Yeah, 15,588, 15,600. So yeah, you really have to pay attention and see the opportunity when that weekly RSI crosses back below and is technically oversold, right? Scary thing on the RSI that I've noticed here, and I'm sure you've probably seen it too, is really nasty bearish divergence between these two highs. So you've got, you know, a higher high in price, but a lower high in RSI. Sorry, lost my train of thought. Lower high in the RSI, higher high in price. Now we're trying to kick back up again. Now, this is the scary thing, is we had the same thing last bull market. We had, you know, the really aggressive move up to 65,000 caused the RSI to do this. But even the push to 65 was down here. Like, look, it's all the way down here after this. This was the highest relative strength, like this push here, this first initial wave. But since then, it cooled off. Like every push after that was just not as strong. And that's kind of what we're getting with the current phase. But that's not to say that we can't, you know, turn the RSI back on and get strong, relatively stronger than the past. We will have to see. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this was the scary looking similarity that I found. Oh, Coley, thank you, super chat sticker. Appreciate it. But yeah, like check this out. So you had bearish divergence, and then once after the bearish divergence happened, you had a nasty dip like that, which did happen on price. We've dipped after the bearish divergence, and then look what happened. That's the best we could do, as a rebound off that dip, and then we bear marketed. So could that happen again? Possibly, because look, this is where we are now. However, the good thing is we're actually stronger than the failed attempt here. We're actually relatively stronger than that time, than that rally there, that counter rally that happened. So we're going to be learning a lot over the coming weeks. You know, for all we know, like this RSI could actually get hot again and actually go into overbought and make a really fantastic high like this one. See, this high, while it was strong, it wasn't as strong as this push up here, relatively speaking. Remember the RSI, okay, so the RSI is looking backwards 14 candles. The only reason it gets hot is because the candles that are happening right now are stronger, relatively speaking, to the previous 14 candles. So this peak over here is not relating anything to over here. This is like many candles ago. Like, let's measure it in candles. That's 165 candles. This RSI is 14, not 165. So it's not, there's no like relationship between these two, technically speaking. Like if you're talking just strictly RSI, this thing looks backward 14. Let's change it. Let's just see like what happens if you change it to like 150 or something. What happens to the RSI? Then you can really sort of compare. Okay, well, the bull market. Let's make it even bigger. Let's compare it with like 300 candles worth of data. See, we don't even have enough data to compare back there. Let me just wind it back. Maybe 250. That gets it a little more. Let's go 180. 180 should capture the previous bull market. Yep, okay. So you can see that, yeah, the previous bull market was way hotter than the current. Like, what we have here is we're building towards something. See, when you change this, to be honest, like, check this out. This is an interesting feature. This push here is all confluent with price. So you've got a high here and then a higher high on RSI. So you've got a high here and then a higher high on RSI. So it's like maybe the 14 doesn't really represent what we're getting at the moment with the price action, with the market direction. So just an idea, just fooling around with the RSI. But yeah, similar, like, yeah, just be aware that we've done that bearish divergence. You know, we ran hot up to the all-time high, and then now we're cooling back off from it. Let's look across to something else. Just gonna have a look at XRP. I'm in XRP still. I think, where did I get in recently? I think I got in this cluster right here. So I've been underwater all this time here, and I'm still in it because I do think that in the bigger picture, we are at the range lows, and I think there's still a very big opportunity to come up to the range highs. So that's why I'm still in it. I'm not taking profits here. These aren't my targets. Like, although, you know, if you're playing like a shorter term swing game, then yeah, taking profits off a swing like this is not a bad thing. But yeah, let's get an actual line over this high here, because we've just swing failed it. You know, if we go lower from here, like if we cool off from that move, we've just done a swing fail, basically. So that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, a high of $2.25 on XRP, that's awesome. And to have that happen in the space of, let's see, it really got going about here, 20 minutes, it went up like 4% in 20 minutes. That's kind of a big deal. Let me just look across the board. Now, this is the stock market. Thanks, DC Woodworking. Appreciate it, man. So the American markets had a good day today. We actually gapped up on the Dow Jones. See that? Big gap up. Gap up on the Nasdaq even, and the S&P 500. The Russell's just chugging along there. But the thing that we want to see, like if you're in longs, if you're still with this bull market, the thing we want to know about or want to see is that was the extreme low, and then that is, you know, the lowest we'll get, and that the rest is some kind of recovery. You know, that's what we're hoping for. But yeah, there's been so much turmoil over the last like month or two. Like, I mean, just look at all that mess. Very indecisive. No one knows what to do in the stock market or in the world. Like, the global economy is like waiting and a little bit panicked. And you can see in gold, if I open up a gold chart, you'll definitely see like that's what happens in like times of uncertainty. People rush to a defensive play or a hedge, which is gold in this case. If I can find a gold chart, we'll go to this one. So let's go to the daily. So that's been gold. That was all of last year, like the bull market. Well, the bull market kind of technically started back in late 2023. Well, sorry, late 2022, when Bitcoin started its bull market. Similar time, right? And it's just been on a rampage ever since, especially this year. This year's been explosive for gold, which is like completely a mirror to what Bitcoin's been doing this year, which is downtrending off the all-time high. Like Bitcoin doing something like that. So that it's like there's like this inverse relationship going on with gold and Bitcoin. But so would now be the time to buy gold? Hell no, don't touch it. It's red hot. It's the hottest it's ever been in history. You're buying the most expensive gold that there has ever been in human history. So just know that. I would, if anything, you want to wait for something like that, like a pullback, couple of weeks or a week of just like cooling back off. But I think all of this gold money, like all this money that's gone into gold over the past, year, will rotate back in to other markets, somewhat into cash. Now, I do know that if you look at cash, by the way, the DXY, the US dollar, you've got, okay, it's starting to try and recover 100, but we've dipped below 100. It hasn't been that low since, let's see, 2022, so 3 years ago. And it got as low as 89 in our previous bull market, like, when we had Dogecoin, SNL, Elon Musk, all that kind of stuff. That's what the DXY was doing. It was in the pits. It was down pretty low. But yeah, you can see it's against the rest of the world. The US dollar has run real hot, but now it's sort of like it's stabilized back in line, But yeah, this 100 level's interesting. It's like we triple bottomed off it and then caused that rally to come up. I think Bitcoin actually rallied with the dollar, which is very interesting, because I think if you had the dollar falling when Bitcoin was doing its bull market, Bitcoin's price would have gone higher than it had. That's my sort of theory on it. But this high, where's inauguration? About here. So Bitcoin and the dollar index both hit highs around this area. Like if I was to bring a Bitcoin comparison chart, and these are supposed to be inversely correlated, but they're actually confluent. They're actually moving similar together. See? You've got an up thrust in both and then a pullback in both. But it's cool to see, yeah, Bitcoin's bounced sooner and then the dollar has continued to fall while Bitcoin has somewhat found support and bounce, which is good. But yeah, there's a lot of times where they perform inversely. Like this time was a very big example. You had the dollar screaming up. It was parabolic, the dollar index. And you had crypto in a bear market. You had Bitcoin going downhill. So see how it was like out of sync. Totally out of sync. And then recently it's like it's got back in sync, just in that section right there. For that section, the dollar and Bitcoin, similar. But could we be seeing the start of like a big, mirror image, like a big reflection, like where the dollar goes down and crypto goes up? Possibly. Just an interesting little feature. What else should we look at? I think Tesla had earnings. If I open that up, how did those go? Oh, a 0.27. So 27. What's the word called? EPS, earnings per share. 27 cents per share earnings. The estimate was 35 cents from the NASDAQ, I believe. Let me just go have a look. Earnings calendar. And if we look at, what is that? If we look at yesterday, oh, they don't even have the EPS written in yet. It should come up like that, like where the EPS result is there. And then you've got the forecast. So that was on forecast. There was no surprise. But yeah, Tesla. Now later this week, I believe we're getting Amazon and Google. Just see where they come in. Okay, Google's on Thursday apparently. I don't know where Apple is. Apple should be somewhere, because they haven't. I don't think Apple's had their earnings yet. Oh, this song sounds like it's repeating. No wonder. Yeah, can't see Apple in the list, but anyway, earnings. So Tesla, I know that was like anticipated to be bad, and it actually came in worse than they thought. So poor old Tesla's down low, but still, relatively speaking, higher than where it bottomed in the bear market. It's still like, getting higher lows. But yeah, what a brutal fall. Let's go back to this chart. Yeah, it really looks like XRP has done a swing fail off that previous high. If you go onto like the hourly chart and zoom out a touch, it's come out of this falling wedge really nice. I like how it's done that. It's like come out, broke out, retested off the top edge and rallied. That's what we want. Let's check the multi-view of the blue chips. That's the blue chips let's check the daily. I'll hide all the drawings. Bitcoin's really leading the way there. Let's go to the weekly time frame. Poor old Ethereum. I really think an Ethereum buys down in this region are good. Same with Dogecoin. See, Doge and Ethereum haven't really come up yet off that huge sell-off that we've just been through. Bitcoin's cutting the path. Remember, Bitcoin is king. Bitcoin shows the way to the rest of the market. So if you see Ethereum and Doge as the rest of the market, like which they are, and even XRP and XLM, like all of the altcoins, like this is the path that they should eventually see. So this is a cradle of opportunity right here. It's come down. It's proven, at least at this point in time, that there is a bottom in. There is like a low in. And we're getting some kind of reflection or reaction off the low. So fingers crossed that we get the follow through on the alts, because that means, XRP should come back up and approach at least the top of the range, get up to, back to $3 or somewhat. Let's go back down to the hourly chart. So in the previous hour, Bitcoin went up 2%. Doge up 3, Solana up 2, Ethereum up 3.5. See, Ethereum's getting its performance back because of how sold off it was, It's got a lot of recovering to do. This is why Ethereum's actually probably a good buy, or has been a good buy in the last week. XRP 3.8. Really, XRP's been interesting. Like it's been one of the, as we all know, one of the highest performing blue chips this year so far, or it has been the highest, I should say, over the past 4 months. Chainlink, modestly, yeah, it's okay. It's still just modestly moving along. Sui, okay, Sui, look at that, 7.33% in the previous hour. That's awesome. Go to the daily, look at Sui. Sui's up 20% today. with an hour and a half left of our daily candle. So Sui, I'm hoping that Ethereum does what Sui did, because Sui got pretty oversold too. Like, look at that, it got hammered, just like Ethereum's been hammered, and Sui's getting this really nice rally off that downtrend, that extended downtrend. Essentially it's a bear market, really. Ethereum and Sui and a lot of the alts have been in bear markets. Like, if you want to call it like a mid-cycle bear market, like a mid-bull bear. What about the memes, like the shit coins? Yeah, we know that fart coin's been doing great. But look at that. The memes, I've even got Doge in here just because it is a meme coin, but yeah, what a day. Today has been really good. Huge performance. Look at Chill Guy, 31%. Fartcoin, 23. Bonk, 22, 23. Wow. Could this be the start of like a big rally? Like, you know, the flip of the switch, like the market going back on. I'm gonna check I'm gonna check the Bitcoin dominance chart because I want to see if there's any hints of, my guess is that Bitcoin's still very dominant, especially off this move here. But the alts are moving too, so maybe the dominance ain't. Yeah, no, it's still rallying. The dominance. It's only a matter of time before this runs out of steam, the Bitcoin dominance, and then when it does, when it falls, when it starts to fall, whenever that's going to be, that's when you get an alt season, and the alts go crazy up, because that money is rotating out of Bitcoin and then into the alts. So, but in this context, it works like this. Like it comes into Bitcoin, that money, and then eventually it gets spewed out and into the alts. This was around the time of SNL. What was it? May of 2021. Where's May? It was like early May. May 8. So right here, right at the worst part for Bitcoin dominance, is when Doge did that SNL, you know, Elon Musk rather. So alts had been running for that whole time before SNL, but SNL kind of marked a big point of bounce. Let's check the market caps of the blue chips. XRP, $129.5 billion. We know it's been in third place this year before, back when XRP was up over $3. It was above Tether in size. So you can see there's still so much potential for money to come back into XRP. Ethereum has been, like, year to date, Ethereum's down 47%. XRP is like one of the only, or is the only blue chip that is green in the top 10. It's up 6.64% year to date. So since the 1st of January. Bitcoin's only just break even, basically, down 0.5%. But yeah, Ethereum hammered. Dogecoin hammered. These are the biggest opportunities. Ethereum and Dogecoin, I'm calling it now. Ethereum and Dogecoin are, unless they're getting destroyed, unless they're coming to an end, I would say these are the biggest opportunities right now to go long. If we're to get that alt season that we're looking for, you know? So, today, BlackRock has purchased another $84 million worth of Bitcoin. Well, that's cool. 84 million ain't nothing to $1.8 trillion. But yeah, that's good. Buying is good, no matter what size. That's good news. But yeah, I think there's gonna be, dare I say it, a full recovery. On the daily, we're looking great. Let me color this for you. So you've got uptrend, 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 right? Things start to get a little bit sideways. We get a double top. But for the most part, the uptrend was pretty much that. Like it was, wherever you want to call that low, it was like equal lows, essentially. We maintained a floor, but that's pretty much what the uptrend was late last year into early this year. And then you had this. Then you had the collapse, which we've just come out of. Like, color that red. Because the structure gets broken and changes the color of the trend, right? But now we can technically call this a structure break to the upside. So this is now green. It's the first leg of what could be, you know, something like this. You know, this ain't any kind of target or anything, but I'm just saying, like, that's the start of an uptrend. Starts with one impulse, and just like every other uptrend, right? Starts with an up. Starts by breaking the previous high. It's how these start. Look, let me show you the other ones. Okay, so this, we know that this was downtrend, right? That's all downtrend. What was the breaking point? It was right here. This was the last high, the last lower high, because look, this was a higher high. And look, the trend shifted. The little hint was this higher low, because we had a low here, right? But look, low, high, higher low, bam, right there. Right when we got up through it, that was the moment that everything shifted and we were able to get a trend going, like a rally going, a trend. But that's what we want. We just want a trend. So technically speaking, we haven't seen the low yet because we've had this low, we've had this low, this low, this low, and then this low, but we haven't seen the next one. Like, where does the next one come in? That's what's important. It's where this decides to pull back to. We just want to see it higher than that. And then we've got our, like, confirmed uptrend. So, however, the big important first step is to get above that previous high. And we've done so. We have done that. In an hour and a half, we'll know how this closes, but we want this to close above 90,000. And it is looking good. It's looking like it will. But a lot can happen in an hour and a half. An hour and a half in crypto is not long. But yeah, like, look what happened the last time we got that the first higher high after a series of lower highs. Like, these are all the lower highs, right? It was all downhill at this point. And then this one, this magic one, how do I change it so it's like, I'll make it like this. This one here, make it clear, was the one that sparked that rally. And that's exactly what's happening right now. We've just had, like, boom, you know, we've cracked through the curse of lower highs, which depict a downtrend. Like, that's what dictates a downtrend, the highs. What dictates an uptrend? The lows, you know? So now we're switched. Instead of focusing on highs, because we've beaten the previous high now, we can check that off. Now we have to dial in and focus on the lows, because we want the lows to get higher. We want the lows, you know, higher than the previous, like this. You know, So low, higher low, higher low. That's what matters as you come up. All right, that's enough market structure talk, but yeah, very good signs. I bet you, like, there's no doubt crypto YouTube is going to be like going all bullish right now. Bye, 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 bye. There's the hype, the hope. This is like a hope rally, your recovery. So we've managed to get 10 people to tune in. That kind of shows you that retail hasn't flooded back yet. You know, we're still, this is like still under the radar, even though we can see how amazing this is. The crowds of people ain't back yet. There's only 10 people in this stream. There's usually, like, when things are really hot, it's like 40 or 50 people, sometimes 60. So we've got a long ways to go still, I think. There's potential for lots more. But, you know, that is in relatively speaking to right now, like, because anything can happen, as we know. So, but as it stands today, things are looking hopeful and optimistic. That can change tomorrow. Like, that can change, you know, in a week's time. It can get bearish again. It can. It's possible, but, you know, we're just dealing with the candles that are provided to us by the chart, and we have to align to that. So it's like, you know, people being bearish after this and seeing like a, you know, lower high, lower low. That's fine. That makes sense. You're aligned with the direction of the market. That's totally fine. The breaking point, the thing that sort of broke my hope, was when all of these wick lows, like hoping that these would just remain wick lows and, like, you know, price just feeling out the bottom of a range, that all got changed right here when we got daily closes below the lows of the range, because that's when it broke. It really did break. But it wasn't like a collapse of the market. We didn't come right back down, you know, and go into a bear market. We had to feel out like a comfortable spot for support, and that was off the previous high of the year of last year. So we're back up into this range though. This is where we want to be, you know. But I know I'm kind of like going in circles, but we need to, like, not only get up there, but like hold lows up above $90,000. 90,000 for me is like the line in the sand at the moment. This is the price level that is the most important right now. 90,000. Even though we're above it, we need to maintain it. It's one thing to get above it, it's another thing to stay above it. And then, you know, the big psychological $100,000 is right in the middle of the range, because we know that the top of our range is 110,000 or thereabouts. So middle of the range is right here, 100K. Anyway, I think I've pretty much covered what's important at the moment, and that is that Bitcoin's flipped the switch. It's gone bullish again for the time being. Hopefully that is sustained, and it's not just like a little blip, like a feature, like a little anomalous pump. Hopefully it does have the juice behind it. Hopefully it's got the fuel to keep going. I think a lot of that depends on the stock market, but so far so good. And by the way, this lines up with money flow, you know, the money flow thing. M2 money supply, sorry, not money flow, money supply, M2 money supply has been rallying like crazy, and there's a lot of liquidity out there. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Thank you for the super chats, Coley and DC Woodworking. Appreciate the support. And I'll catch you in the next one.